Today I'm going to go over wet tumbling from start to finish. Before I get too much into it, I want to talk about some of the pros and cons versus wet tumbling and dry tumbling. So wet tumbling, there are a couple distinctive pros that I can think of. First off is there's no dust. So if you're running it in indoors, maybe in your living room, you don't have to worry about dust and little kids breathing in dust, because lead dust is horrible for little kids and it's not really that great for adults either. The second pro about wet tumbling is that your cases look brand spanking new. And the third pro that I can think of is that you have faster tumble times. Rather than have to tumble all night long, you're really looking at an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 or 3 hours if your stainless steel media is getting kind of on the old side. But there are some cons. The biggest con I can think of is there's in general just more post-processing time. Rather than being able to just pull your cases out of the dry media and reload right away, you have to now pull them out. You have to separate them from your stainless steel media, and that's kind of a pain. And then you have to wait for them to dry, and if you're in a place where it's cooler, then you have to take over the oven for an evening, and your wife might not appreciate that. So there's just a lot more post-processing time. And then another con with wet tumbling is that your cases will get damaged if you forget about them for an extended period of time. So if I'm running a batch in here, the solution that I put in with the brass is slightly acidic. So if I forget about it for a weekend, I'll come back and that acidic solution can eat away all the zinc in the brass, because brass is composed of copper and zinc, and then that will leave you with some damaged cases. With that said, let's get into it. So the tumbler that I use is this one. It's the Frankfurt Arsenal rotary tumbler, or the Fart, as sometimes I've heard it referred to on Amazon and some of the reviews. This is the larger one. They have a smaller one, and there are various manufacturers that make wet tumblers. You don't have to use this one. So for starters, we're going to load in the brass. Today I will be tumbling. These are 6.5 Creedmoor cases. I don't have a ton of these, probably, I don't know, like 80, 90 cases. That's what I'll be tumbling today. You can fill this up just about all the way full with brass, and it'll tumble just fine. In 9mm, it's like 1,500 cases, 223, it's right around 1,000 cases. The next step is to add the stainless steel media. I just keep it in this bucket and put all that in there. One quick comment on the stainless steel media. I have used this media to clean probably between 9 and 45 and 380 and 223 and various other calibers. I've probably used it to clean probably 25,000 cases, and it's still going strong, so it doesn't exactly wear out quickly. It lasts for a very long period of time. Before adding any solution or soap or anything like that, I'm going to fill up with water. That way I don't put the soap in and then it doesn't get all the suds all over the place. Now, as far as what I use to clean the brass, I honestly just use stuff that's lying around the house. So I just use laundry detergent. Since it's not very full, I didn't fill the cup up very much. If it was a more full load of 9mm brass, I probably would have filled up the cup almost all the way, just as if I was doing a load of laundry. Now, Frankfurt Arsenal and Hornady and the other reloading manufacturers, they do make actual solutions that you can use to make it all shiny and nice. I don't like to have to go buy extra things. I like to use what's lying around the house. So like I said, I use the laundry detergent. But if you do use laundry detergent or dish soap or whatever, you are definitely going to want to get this. This is Lemmy Shine. It's going to raise the pH of the solution, the acidity, and that is going to help clean up and shine up the cases a ton. You don't need it to just get rid of the carbon, but man, boy, does it make your case look shiny. Now, for a full load, I'd probably use like a teaspoon and maybe some change, a teaspoon and a half. This is a partial load, so even what I have in my hand is probably even overkill, but you know, oh well, because I'm too lazy to put it back in the container. Okay, now we're going to seal her up and stick her on the tumbler. Okay, as far as timing, since this is a smaller load, I'm probably only going to run it like an hour. If it was a bigger load, I'd probably do maybe 2 hours or so if I had the whole thing full of 9 or 223. As your media wears out, you'll have to start doing longer and longer to keep it shiny, but my stuff is still going strong. So we'll come back in an hour. So it just finished, and now is the painful part of post-processing, of separating all the media and the brass and rinsing it all off. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So I usually use a bathtub to rinse it out, and the biggest reason for that is just because I don't want to dump all the lead and soot and dirt and whatever just on my yard. So I'd rather go down the drain and go to the water waste treatment plant. So let's pop her open. Sometimes it can be kind of hard, so I use my legs to hold it up. Okay, pop that. Place this one in its place. Okay, now I do have a 5-gallon bucket underneath here, and that's what I'm gonna dump it into, because all those stainless steel pins are gonna come out. I'm gonna shake it and just get as many pins out as possible. There's about 5 pounds of pins in there, and I can physically feel it getting a ton lighter with every shake that I'm giving. Pop the top off here. Okay, you can already see those are pretty beautiful shiny cases. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse it out a little bit just with the water. And now I'm gonna set it here. Okay, now with this, you can just pour it out. You just don't want to go too crazy because you don't want to lose all your media. But the media is way heavier than any of the water, so it will stay in the bottom of the bucket pretty well. You can see how nasty those casings were. And I didn't even have this thing very full. I only had probably a little under 100 6.5 Creedmoor cases in there. And so that's pretty much it. Now I usually will rinse these 2 or 3 times. So I'm gonna go ahead and do those other couple times. You can see it's a lot cleaner this time after that 3rd rinse. The water's almost, I mean, still wouldn't want to drink it, but it's pretty clean. Okay, so that's pretty much it. When I was setting it down in this corner, you notice I was pretty gentle because I didn't want any pins to fall out. So now I got all my pins in there, and I'll dump those out on a towel, let them dry as well. Just pick up a few stragglers here. Okay, so now we're back out in the garage, and so to dry them, I'll usually just stick them out on this old towel that I have. I just grab an old towel. You can see it's kind of beat up, but it makes a great towel just to put these on. So tap it so the stainless steel pins come out, and then I'll put one cap back on and seal it. And then I'll just set this as is to finish drying out the rest of the way, because you don't want to put both ends on because then mold can grow and it'll be bad. So this end's still the slitted end. Okay, now this is where you're really gonna want one of these guys, because these guys, it'll save your bacon as far as separating the stainless steel pins from the casing. Again, normally I do a much bigger load. I'll just go over it several times until I'm pretty confident that I got most of the, well, as many pins as I can get. Sometimes you'll get one that sticks like that. It's because it's full of pins. This does take quite a while with 9mm, because they'll hide tons of different pins, or even 223 will take a while, but with 6.5 Creedmoor, and especially with as few as I did, it's pretty quick. Now, on a previous video, I had somebody ask a question of what I do to dry my brass. In all honesty, this is it. Normally, I reload mostly in the summertime or early fall, and so I'll literally just let it hang out here Typically I'll put it outside in the sun because it's a lot warmer out there and it'll dry super fast, especially in like July or August. So in the winter I have just this old beat up tray that I'll put all the brass on here. And then I used to just stick it in my main oven in my house. I would take over that oven for the night. Sometimes if my wife wanted to cook, that didn't turn out so well. And then I would just turn on the oven. If you put it in the oven to dry it, you definitely want it on like the lowest setting. So in my oven, it's 175 degrees Fahrenheit, I think is the lowest, and that's what I put on, because if you go any hotter, it'll actually make your brass not look very pretty. I mean, you can still fire it, but it doesn't look pretty. So, and I don't know what the scientific thing is. Maybe somebody can put in the comments below of what actually happens, but something weird happens. Now, I don't actually put it in there. I'll just turn on my toaster oven that I use for powder coating bullets, and then I'll just stick it on top because enough heat goes up that it'll dry out pretty quick. So I'll just stick them on there and let it dry that way. So in this case, I don't really want them on my garage floor all night, so I am going to put them on the tray and put them on top of the oven. Okay, now as far as your media goes, you definitely don't want to let it just sit in that water. Now this water is actually pretty clean. It's kind of soapy still, but as far as like lead and other toxins, since I rinsed it 3 times, it's actually relatively clean. So I'm going to dump out this, and then I'll just dump it out here on the towel, and I'll let it dry out. Again, normally I do this outside in July or June or in the summer, and it'll dry out super fast because it's nice and hot. So that is pretty much it as far as wet tumbling goes. The reason I like it, again, like I said, is man, boy, does it make this brass super shiny, super pretty. I mean, it looks brand new, like it came out of the box yesterday. So that's my biggest reason I like wet tumbling. But again, at the end of the day, it accomplishes the exact same thing as dry tumbling. Let me know if you have any other tips or tricks, if you are already a reloader, or put it in the comments below. Also, if this is your first time and you're thinking about getting into reloading and you still have questions after watching this movie, please put them in the comments below and I will answer them. Or if it takes a little longer answer, then I'll make a whole new video answering your question. Thanks. See ya.